Hi, I'm Virginia from Right Clinic, and here with me today is Tania. Tania is a freelance medical writer and career coach, and she mostly works with pharma advertising and CME, which is continuing medical education. Thank you for being here today, Tania.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. So, Tania is based in Montreal, Canada. So, this will be a good and insightful podcast for anyone watching or listening and learning more about what they do in Canada and learning more about what Tania is doing in pharma advertising and CME as well. So, how did you get into what you do, Tania, and what do you actually do in your day to day?
Okay, let's start with what do I do day to day. I write mostly pharma advertising and content for continuous medical education, but I'm also open to any projects that interest me. That's why if you check my portfolio, you will see from writing video script, course curriculum, training to writing even social media post for medical communications agencies, like all kind of things. I try to keep it interesting with a focus on advertising and CME. Um, and how I got into it, that's actually, I think, a different story than most people. When I hear your podcast or all the other people telling how they came into medical writing, often it wasn't intentional. They were probably, they didn't even know that they were coming into this field and doing this. For me, it was a very strategic decision. I'm from Bangladesh, and I come from a background where education for female or their working outside was not a regular thing to see. So I started with, like, I wanted to earn my own money so that I can take my decisions without any interference from the men. So I studied really hard, and that's how I became a faculty in my university and went into research because my results were good. Everyone was thinking I would be a researcher. I did my PhD, and it worked until I become self dependent and helped my family. And then I wanted to think, okay, now is the time for me to think what I really want to do for myself in the future. So I did pretty much everything people do when they change a career, like starting from completing the Excel sheets to find out the overlap between your interest, your skills. I took career coaching, joined workshop, joined associations. I tried to learn as much as possible about my possibilities, what I could do with my life science diploma. And I knew I wanted to stay in the healthcare arena. And what I was doing at that time, I was a researcher. I completed my postdoc in Canada, and I felt a disconnect between what made me happy and what I was doing. I didn't feel good that I was running after impact factor, and helping patients was not really the priority in my everyday activities. And that didn't align with what I wanted. I wanted to see results fast, not work on a project for 5 years and then publish in a good impact factor journal, which who knows if it will ever end up helping people or not. So after, really, I took 6 months after my postdoc to analyze all the data, to do hundreds of informational interviews, and found this career that resonated with me the most. So I started writing medical content, and soon after, I saw there are other people who had a gap in understanding how to transition. So I started also supporting them. It's a bit of long story, but I thought it's important because in Canada and in US there are so many immigrants coming from different countries, from different career background, and they all look for a new opportunity, a career change, and it's quite confusing and overwhelming. And I feel like when you have a different story, not to think that it's useless, rather to use it to take your career or life forward.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think that not a lot of people and not enough people talk about the inequality, first of all, in education in parts of the world like India, and also the need to educate yourself to a level where you can transition to another country where you can find other opportunities to support yourself, and also the female male divide and the sense of control over your life that you were trying to break away from is so inspiring, because there are women who are in that position and they are trying to find a way out to get their independence and live the life that they envision themselves having, and essentially getting their freedom if they can't have that with a partner because that partner may be controlling. And it's really gracious of you to share that story, because it does need to be talked about more. And it's such a great story of triumph as well, because even though you're here right now where you want to be, you really worked hard to get here. And this is many years in the making. It didn't just happen last month. So you worked through what you could to get to where you are, and it is possible to get to where you are. So anyone that's listening, if you find yourself in a difficult position, then do speak to Tania for her advice, and also know that you can make a positive change in your life to get to where you want to be and have a career and life that you want to live. And so, based on something that you mentioned specifically, you did informational interviews. So, how did you do those? You said you did hundreds of them. Where did you find the people to speak to? And what were the other options that you were looking at? And why did you choose medical writing?
Yeah, I will again start from zero because I did start from zero. I was new in Canada. I didn't know people. The only few people know were the people in my lab, and except me, pretty much everyone was really looking for a career in academia, at least at that time. So I had to find those people who are thinking like me or who are already in other industries. Like I mentioned, I joined different associations, and any volunteer opportunities I had, I took it. I was volunteering. I had that knack from the very beginning since I was a child. If I can say one thing that I always did was volunteering. And back in my home, I was engaged with different educational activities. So used that to get into the volunteering, because even for showing that you are eligible for that volunteering post, that's also competitive, right? So that's how I met people, and it really helped me. Usually all the people who volunteer, they want to give, and when you meet them, you really find the community with kindness and gratitude. And from there I attended a lot of events. Luckily or unluckily, at that time we were working from home, so I could actually join any event virtually. I didn't have to compromise much from my work. And from all those workshops, uh, courses I took, free courses, there were some MyTech Edge courses. People in Canada, academics, should really take advantage of that. That's how I started to meet people. I joined Facebook group, maybe from someone. So it's like a web, like we call it network. I started with few, and like my first degree connection, second degree connection, they helped me to know more people. And I was really interested because I was genuinely looking forward to go to a new career and help people. And probably people saw that and they were interested to help me. Most of them, they agreed for a video call or phone call, or told me that if they were busy, please write me your questions. And that's how months after months I met people from different fields, say regulatory writing, advertising, copywriting, health writing, so that I know what I'll be doing in each of those cases. And then slowly I narrowed down. For example, I thought regulatory writing is not something I want to do right away. So I probably then had less informational interview with people in regulatory writing. And it continued actually until till date, and even in future I'll be doing informational interviews because there are always people I can learn from.
Yeah, I think that is so true. I think even I am also reaching out to people and learning from them as well. So, for example, Eleanor, who was on the podcast the other day, she's a health communications consultant, and she's not a healthcare professional. But the fact that she's been able to do that for 20 years and that there's a need for that in the market is really fascinating to me. So you can always build on your knowledge, and I think it's really great that you're keeping that up, and you should continue to do so. And we would encourage everyone that's listening or watching to have an informational interview with someone just to find out what they do and see what you might want to learn from them, and how that can help you with your career goals as well. So speaking of career goals, what's next on the horizon for you?
My focus is strengthening my business foundation on both medical writing and career coaching. um, I'm creating a course which will be probably up in April, and this will be one of a kind course, I'm hoping, because I realized that there are lots of courses that teach you technical writing, how to write, say, advisory board, or how to translate clinical trial data. And then there are courses for marketing, although not a lot that is tailored for medical writers. There are courses for professional presence, about LinkedIn or your website. But I feel like so many different angles to pursue them to be a successful medical writer. It can be confusing and overwhelming for transitioning professionals. So I wanted to build a basic course that will give you an idea of everything so you can get started. And then if you decide that yes, you want to learn more about maybe personal branding, so you can do that slowly. And I'll go more in depth with a book that is under preparation now. So I'm hoping that will be available right after the course. And yes, more of career coaching, more of projects this year, I hope.
Amazing. I'm really looking forward to your course and to your book as well. So I will leave a link to Tania's LinkedIn so you can follow her on LinkedIn or connect and have a conversation, maybe an informational interview. And thank you so much for being here today, Tania.
Thank you, Virginia. I really admire what you do, and more power to us.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much for watching or listening to today's episode, and we will see you at the next one. Bye.